jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports.
Yeah, once again, you're tuned in to World Combat Sports. Salute to each and every one of you, especially the everyday supporters. You know what I'm saying? The day ones in the building that tune into the channel. Yeah, this is a hot one, man. You know what it is. Boxing, the MMA, BJJ, whatever is okay. Yeah, we're about to have a hot one today. We're going to speak about one of my favorite fighters in mixed martial arts, Jon Bones Jones. Definitely, this is about him, and I truly wish that it can be in a different manner. But still, him being in MMA does nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It does nothing to, slow down MMA, as you see the thumbnail. But this is the real one right here. Jon Bones Jones, many faces, man. He has been arrested so many times, and this is partly what's been keeping him from being one of the greatest combat sports fighters ever, is the fact that he continues to get in trouble. He continues to get in trouble over and over again. It's been said allegedly that, he had drug issues with cocaine, and then he had popped dirty. I'm going to take you through a flight of his timeline. You know what I'm saying? We're going to travel together in first class. You know what I'm saying? I want you to grab you don't grab no popcorn. It's not going to do you any justice, but, just grab something that's tantalizing and everything that's yummy to the tummy. And we're going to go on a mixed martial arts journey on Jon Jones' timeline. And it's going to blow your mind, people. It's going to blow your mind how many incidents he's been a part of that his name is a part of for the wrong reason. It's going to blow your mind when I talk about, combat sports in general, how, you have boxers who's taking punishment. You have fighters taking punishment, to their body and head and everything. And they go through these issues, some worse than others, but they go through these issues, man. These domestic violence issues, these criminal issues. And you saying, man, they're grown as adults. It's not that. Every fighter has their way of relief. Whatever's going on in their head, they have their own way of dealing with it. And sometimes the way they deal with it, it filters out into the public eye. You know what I'm saying? And then the mainstream, the local news get a hold of it, and it makes you look much more of a mischievous type of individual than you choose to be. And that's exactly what's been going on with Jon Jones. Let me get to the chat right quick. Let's see who pulled up. I see J Ocho on deck, man. What it do? J Ocho on deck, man. The first one in the building. Appreciate you. Mr. Pass on deck, man. Salute to the regulars. You know what I'm saying? The regulars in the building. He say salute comeback. You see more and more older UFC fighters popping up sick. Great topic. Absolutely appreciate it. BJ Penn's another one. Absolutely. no doubt. Mr. Pass say salute WCS, salute to you, my brother. J.O. salute, brother. Pass say WCS, you remember when he drove away? Yeah, we're gonna talk about all that. He said, WCS, you remember when he drove away from the car crash with the pregnant woman or whatever? I feel like Jones has been his own worst enemy, which is what makes it even sad in my opinion. Well, your feeling is correct. He is his own worst enemy. God blessed him with the gifted ability to be able to fight at the highest level. And he's been able to make it there. And there's been no one that's been able to defeat him. But yet, it's not, since no one's been able to defeat him, he's been defeating himself outside of the cage, man. And I look back on when him and Daniel Cormier was somewhat building up a rivalry between one another. And DC pretty much told him, say, Jon Jones is never going to change. And they hated each other. Like, Jon Jones said he'll spit on DC. You know what I'm saying? And DC said, you think I'm just going to let you spit on me? I'll kill you. You think I'm going to let you just spit on me? And they have one of the worst brawls ever that played out at a face-off that you will see in combat sports. They have one of the top 5. They do. They have one of the top 5. Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones. And of course, DC stood up to his alpha, to his nemesis. And Jon Jones took it to DC, man. I mean, they was fighting out there, moving furniture and shit. And there's been some pretty good boxing, brawls and melees. But this one right here, man, this was straight off the cuff. DC came and put his forehead to Jon Jones, and it was a wrap. He turned on a switch, and Jon Jones showed the world that he is that crazy. He does have that inner switch. So let's get down to it, man. For anyone who cover mixed martial arts, or follow it rather, recently Jon Jones was arrested. And the disturbing part about it is in the same way that Mr. Pass mentioned earlier about him leaving the scene of an accident. You know what I'm saying? He being that crazy to leave the scene of an accident with a pregnant woman. That's just one of many. He's been arrested for DWI. He's been arrested during the pandemic, once supposed to be outside during the curfew in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was arrested by an officer that already had run-ins with Jon Jones. He also supposedly was arrested, and the charge was ultimate drop, I believe, of firing a weapon into the air. There was green substance, on the floor of his vehicle, like it was marijuana allegedly. And man, the list goes on and on. So let's get down to it, man. Jon Jones, a Hall of Famer, a mixed martial arts legend. He currently holds a record of 26 victories with 1 defeat. And like I always tell my audience, that 1 defeat is not truly a defeat. It's it was in standings that went against the rule, the new rules, so to speak. Sometimes the rules change. These fighters get acclimated to a certain way of fighting, and the rules change. They're so used to training, remediating in the gym that, hey, when they see red, it's all go. And that's exactly what happened to Jon Jones. He was in top position with Matt Hamill. And man, he was bludgeoning him, and he was landing some very, very brutal elbows on Matt Hamill. There was no way that Hamill was coming back. And Jon Jones landed a 12-6 elbow, which had been pretty much banned in the UFC, all because of Commission, who also was at another combat or skills challenge or ice breaking challenge. He's seen how not mixed martial arts, but these martial artists was capable of executing an elbow, which was straight up over their head, 12 o'clock, and executing in a downward motion at 6 o'clock to break multiple blocks of ice. And I guess he had a little tingle, a little twinge. You know what I'm saying? I guess the hair stood up on the back of his cochlea. I guess, you know, his pupils dilated for a second because he didn't know what he was looking at. He said, "Oh my God." So that scared him so much that one commission said it doesn't need to be allowed in MMA, right? For the UFC. Now, with all the people who was basically advocating against it and saying, hey, it's much more strikes out there that can do damage and this, that, and the other, it was outlawed. So when Jon Jones was called, I think Steve Mazzagatti was the referee. He was called for a 12-6 elbow. It was just him in the moment. Matt Hamill was already done. So he was DQ'd pretty much, and Matt Hamill got the victory. That's the only fighter ever that can look on their resume and say they have a win over Jon Jones. And when people ask him, it's probably at a bar when they're inebriated and they're joking around and they have to first look around and shit, that crazy motherfucker ain't in here, is he? Okay, cool. Yeah, I got the only win over him. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. They ain't gonna say it when he's around. But Matt Hamill has the only win over Jon Jones. I want to take you to his resume. This guy has one of the most insane resumes. You're talking about the guy who initially made his debut in 2008, August 2008, against Brad Bernard. His debut, he executed one of the sickest body-to-body, chest-to-chest suplexes that you would ever see executed in that type of manner in mixed martial arts. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful chest-to-chest suplex, man. You just won't see that all the time. Well, let me share right quick. Let me share screen. And I want to take you to Jon Jones Topology. All right. So this is Jon Jones Topology. All right. The guy has been in there with the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? He was the youngest light heavyweight champion. So 26-1, man. He's currently 34 years of age. 6'4", 84.5. Yes, you heard it. 84.5 inch reach. He used to be with Coach Greg Jackson out of Winklejohn, but they told him he couldn't at Jackson Wink. He couldn't train there anymore due to his, situations that he continued to get into, right? So I want to take you to 2008. And we're going to scan through this. So pretty much he made his debut in 2008, like I said, against Brad Bernard. But we're going to go up to his UFC debut. So he fought Andre Gasmayo, back in August 2008, once he was able to get his opportunity, right? And really had a lot of fights in 2008. If you're looking at it, he had a lot of fights. So he go to the man himself, Stephen Bonner, who him and Forrest Griffin was known for their fight to open up the UFC, to introduce everybody to the UFC. And Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin fought their ass off. And they just in the Hall of Fame for that reason. For real. They in the Hall of Fame for that fight. Moving on. He goes on to fight Jake O'Brien and then Matt Hamill. Down with elbows, illegal down with elbows. This is round one. He was bludgeoning Matt Hamill like that, right? This is round one. Goes on to face Brandon Vera, round one. You're not going to see too much other than that. Round two, round one. Vladimir Machashenko, round one. Jon Jones is killing him. Killing him. He steps in there with Ryan Bader, round 2 guillotine choke. This man can't be fucked with, dog. When he was in there. Look at Mauricio Hua, a legend. Mauricio Hua, shout out to the legend Mauricio Hua, man. I had the opportunity to see him fight overseas, man. He was in Pride. Man, Jon Jones stops him in round 3 of a 5-round fight. And that was for the championship. I have to go through the timeline to do it justice, because this has a lot to do with what he could have been. He could have been one of the best combat specialists ever. And even with his troubles, many consider him to be that today. Look at his next fight. Quinn Rampage Jackson, Loyola Machida, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort. Shout out to the Phenom. Vitor Belfort. Chael Sonnen. Alexander Gustafsson twice. He fought him twice. Glover Teixeira. Daniel Cormier. You're going to see this right here. It was canceled. He went in there, defeated Daniel Cormier, unanimous decision. So you see the unanimous decisions start to come into play with Rashad Evans. All right, he increases competition. So you see the one with DC, and then OSP, Oven St. Preux. Unanimous decision. Dan Henderson. He's been another best of the best. That was a grappling match, but still, best of the best, man. DC in a rematch. It's a no contest, and we're going to get into that because that's when he popped positive again. He fought Alexander Gustafsson. This was ground and pound round 3. If you look back to the first time they fought, it was unanimous decision. So who got better? You know what I'm saying? Gustafsson was still a threat, Anthony Smith. Decision. At this point in time, I'm thinking Jon Jones may have a lot more going on, coming off the pads. You know what I'm saying? He's going to a unanimous decision. I know I said he increased the level of competition, right? But I think it was more so him also going through his process of taking so much for him to get back into the UFC after being suspended. Being charged with a $250,000 fine, having to go before the commission, even to get his license back. Then he steps in there with Thiago Santos, split decision. This might have been Jon Jones just, in a deep, dark place. You know what I'm saying? Because, even though Thiago Santos put up a valiant effort, I truly didn't think he was on the level of Jon Jones on his best. And then, of course, Dominic Reyes, who I felt defeated Jon Jones, 3 rounds to 2. But he didn't get the decision. You know what I'm saying? Jon Jones attempted to take down at the end of round 3. He was able to get it in 4, 5, I believe. But overall, I thought Dominic Reyes fought a very good fight. That's the best fight he ever fought in his career. That's pretty much his last fight. His last fight was February 2020. He's been out of the cage ever since, contemplating on moving up to heavyweight. They were showing pictures of Jon Jones picking up this muscle, this weight training. Hey, I thought he was going to come back and fight Francis Ngannou. But with his recent arrest, I don't think it's going to happen, people. Let's get up out of here and let's get to the goods. Let's get to the timeline from hell. Let's get to the timeline from hell. Mr. Paz said, you remember when Cormier fight first got canceled and DC was crying in the locker room because the fight was so anticipated that was sad to see. Yeah, we found out DC is, he shared his emotions, and I got mad respect for DC because, he's one of those freak of natures, being as short as he is, but goddamn lethal. Yes. By the way, why are 12 to 6 elbows banned, but kneeing isn't? Are 12 to 6 elbows really that dangerous? What's the logic behind it? I'll touch on that a little bit later. It was absolutely from a single commission, like I said, who actually was overseeing an ice breaking competition. And that's where it took place. That's where the ban came into effect. Jeff Blazer on deck. What's good, my brother? Him and Adrian Broner both seem to have this problem when they're not training, having a fight coming up. I wouldn't say Adrian Broner even come close to touching Jon Jones. Adrian Broner does have issues, you know what I'm saying, like many other fighters, but he doesn't even come close. He doesn't even scratch the surface when it comes to Jon Jones. So, April 12th, I thought it was August, but April 12th, 2008, Jones made his MMA debut at 21, defeating Brad Bernard, right? 92-second TKO win. I mean, you can't get any better than that on your arm. And I thought the commentators was a bit discriminatory in my opinion. They was a bit biased because they had like the man couldn't showboat around and shit like that. To my, he need to learn some cage etiquette. You could tell how much MMA has grown since then, because the MMA community back then when it came up, you had all colors of fighters that was competing. So just because he fought where he fought, these guys was being anal retentive for real. August 9th, 2008 now. Same year he made his debut. Just 4 months after making his MMA debut, Jones compete in the UFC for the first time. He improved to 7-0 as a pro by earning a unanimous decision over Andre Guzmão at UFC 87. January 2009, the following year, Jones is cited for unsafe passing while driving with his girlfriend and young child in New York. Jones' vehicle allegedly struck a car attempting to make a left turn. There were no injuries, and he was not deemed to be at fault for the minor incident. Now, this is back in 2009. He hasn't even been deep in the sport a good year yet. December 5th, 2009. Jones suffered the first and only official loss of his career. Jones was disqualified due to use of an illegal 12 to 6 elbow on Matt Hamill, which I mentioned earlier. March 19, 2011. After steadily climbing up the rankings, Jones became the youngest champion in UFC history when he TKOs Mauricio Shogun Hua at UFC 128 to claim the light heavyweight title. The morning of the fight, Jones helped foil. Look, one of his shining moments, right? It wasn't many, outside the cage, but this was one of them. The morning of the fight, Jones helped foil a robbery attempt in Patterson, New Jersey, and that was legit. That wasn't anything that was set up. November 24th, 2011, Jones is cited for loss of traction while pulling into an Albuquerque strip club. The Bentley Jones was driving was towed, and Jones was taken into custody once officers on the scene learned Jones was driving on a suspended license. Charges were eventually dropped. That's November 24th, 2011. Stay with me. May 19th, 2012. Jones is involved in a minor accident when he crashes his Bentley. Jones is out here crashing Bentleys. Jones, when he crashes his Bentley into a utility pole, y'all, in Binghamton, New York, after a night of partying, his 2 female passengers suffered minor injuries. Jones is uninjured. He gets taken into custody after refusing to take a sobriety test. This is back in 2012 now. We're in 2022. This is back in 2012, y'all. 2 months later, he is issued a $1,000 fine and his driver's license is suspended 6 months. He is also required to complete a victim impact panel and have ignitions interlock installed on his vehicles. Wow. August 8th, 2012, Jones becomes the first UFC athlete to land a worldwide sponsorship deal with Nike. Now you see what I'm getting with this? He could have been bigger, in my opinion, than LeBron of boxing, the MJ of boxing. He could have been bigger. He locks in a deal with Nike, y'all. He locks in a deal with Nike. Unbelievable talent. Unbelievable. Let's keep it pushing. That was August 8, 2012 when he locked in a deal with Nike, right? August 23rd, the same month, the UFC announces UFC 151, a pay-per-view event scheduled for September 1, is canceled after Jones refuses to fight Chael Sonnen on short notice after Jones' original opponent, Dan Henderson, withdraws with injury. It's the first time in UFC history that the promotion canceled an event. Jones received the bulk of the blame. Falling apart, huh? September 23rd, 2013, Jones wins a unanimous decision over Alexander Gustafsson in UFC 165. Check this out. In Toronto, one of the greatest title fights in UFC history, and in doing so, breaks Tito, one of the trendsetters, the pioneers of MMA and the UFC, breaks Tito Ortiz's UFC record for most consecutive light heavyweight title defenses. August 4th, 2014, Jones brawls with Daniel Cormier at UFC 178 press event in Las Vegas. September 23rd, 2014, Jones is fined $50,000 by Nevada State Athletic Commission, NSAC, and handed 40 hours of community service in Las Vegas for his role in the Cormier brawl. You know, we have brawls all the time. We had Khabib that was nowhere close to this. You know, it was much more people that was close, but Khabib versus Conor McGregor brawl was nothing compared to this, but he was fined $50,000. January 3rd, 2015, Jones win his grudge match with Cormier in the main event of UFC 182 via unanimous decision. This is when I thought Jon Jones was getting it together. A lot of people did. January 6th, this is after defeating Cormier. January 6, 2015, Jones checks in the rehab. Check this out. He checks in the rehab facility. After it's revealed he tested positive for cocaine metabolites during an out-of-competition drug screening prior to UFC 182. January 17th, that was January 6, 2015, right? January 17th, 2015, the UFC fines Jones $25,000 for violating its athlete code of conduct policy for the failed drug test. April 27, 2015, Jones turned himself into the Albuquerque police after a hit-and-run accident that leaves a pregnant woman injured. Jones fled from the scene and marijuana was found in the vehicle. April 28, 2015, Jones is stripped of the UFC title and suspended indefinitely by the promotion. What a ride, huh? This is a ride. A roller coaster don't have nothing. They don't have shit on this. September 29, 2015, Jon Jones pleads guilty to a charge of leaving the scene of an accident involving injury. He avoids jail time, but is required to serve up to 18 months supervised probation, y'all. 18 months supervised probation. Wow. October 23rd, 2015, the UFC reinstates Jones after the company lawyers review the fighter's plea agreement. They reinstate him now after a hit and run with a pregnant woman inside. They reinstate this guy. Ain't nobody who in boxing, unless you commit murder, is coming close to this, man. Like, covering sports like this and following Jon Jones, man, it's a lot more serious things that went on that people make a big deal about when it comes to boxing for some reason. It's all bad, but I'm just saying. King Mitch on deck, man. What's good with you? October 23rd, 2015, the UFC reinstates Jones after the company reviews the plea agreement, right? March 29th, 2016, Jones is booked. This is the following year. Jones is booked into the county jail in Albuquerque for violating his probation. The week prior, he was accused of drag racing and given 5 citations. Oh my gosh. Woo-wee. You go from the Bentleys, wrecking the Bentleys, losing traction with the Bentleys, having your car impounded, hit and run incidents. The shit never stopped, man. Let me get to some of the chats. Let me get to some of these chats. Jay Ocha said Jon Jones called DC all kinds of fat boys. He was low key hurting him. Yeah, man. DC has a he has a sensitive side, man. He has feelings for real, but he can fight, man. He's one of the best to ever do it. DC, 2-weight champion, light heavyweight and heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? He's a legitimate Hall of Famer, Daniel Cormier. We stopped off in March 29, 2016, right? They gave him 5 citations for drag racing, right? Right. March 31st, 2016, Jones is ordered to take anger management and driver improvement classes for violating his probation. April 23rd. Now, where's his family at in all this? What can you imagine what they're going through? Wow. April 23rd, 2016, right? Jones returned to competition, defeating over St. Preux in the main event of UFC 197. He won the interim 205 championship. Dana White gave him every opportunity to be great. This is the killer. July 6, 2016, Jones is flagged by the USADA for a potential doping violation and is pulled from his UFC 200 main event bout without Cormier. July 7, 2016, this is one and only time that you've seen Jon Jones show emotion. I don't know if it was emotion because of the deep, dark place he was in at the time and he knew he was there, or he just, couldn't believe at that moment that he had popped positive. Because I look at it like, was he still on? He might not have been on pads right now. I don't know. It's a lot of thoughts that run across my mind on what Jon Jones potentially could have been thinking at that time. But July 7, 2016, Jones holds a press conference in Las Vegas and denies cheating. His manager announces they will appeal the failed test. With Jon Jones' troubles outside the cage, he did end up changing the scope of USADA testing, anti-doping testing. He did. November 7, 2016, Jones is issued a 1-year ban, y'all, from USADA, retroactive to the July 6 test he failed. The decision was rendered 1 week after a lengthy evidentiary hearing. Jones initially was facing a 2-year suspension, y'all. November 9, 2016, Jones is stripped of his interim title. The one he won against over in St. Preux, titled by the UFC. In an interview with ESPN, UFC President Dana White called Jones the greatest talent ever and the biggest screw-up ever. Wow. December 15, 2016, the NSAC officially announces Jones received a 1-year suspension, retroactive to July 6 test, mirroring the punishment doled out by USADA. So they pretty much gave him a suspension that was pretty much mirrored to the suspension he already received. How good is that now? Imagine if Jon Jones would have received a suspension where he has to serve them concurrently. July 29, 2017, Jones defeat Cormier by a third round knockout in the main event of UFC 2014 in Anaheim. He breaks down in tears following an impressive victory over his respected rivalry. August 22nd, 2017, Jones is flagged. This is after him he defeating DC the second time. He's flagged by USADA and notified of potential violation of UFC anti-doping policy stemming from a July 28th drug screening following the UFC 2014 weigh-ins. The anabolic androgenic steroid Turinabol was found in his system, but Jones' manager declares they want to have the samples tested again. September 12, 2017, USADA confirms the B sample from his failed UFC 214 test matched the A sample findings. September 13, 2017, the California State Athletic Commission decides to overturn Jones' UFC 2014 win over Cormier and change it to a no contest. Later in the day, the UFC announces it has stripped Jones of his title and reinstates Cormier as a 205-pound champion, which 205-pound champion is a light heavyweight champion. All right. That's been an incredible ride, huh, from Jon Jones. He's not the only one that's been, in bad situations, man, from having a combat sports career. Somebody mentioned BJ Penn earlier. BJ Penn, they consider BJ, a legend, man. The amount of time that it took him just to pick up his BJJ black belt is absolutely phenomenal. The short period of time it took him to become a black belt. And then what he was able to do in the UFC, multi-time world champion. He had problems. Somebody knocked him out on the curve outside the bar. He was having domestic problems, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? All these things was coming back. You know what I'm saying? You had Tanner that pretty much walked himself out into the desert, never to return. He was committing suicide, so they found him dead out there. Allegedly Chuck Liddell had issues with, drinking or whatever the case may be, some domestic issues. I mean, this go on and on and on, man. This shit can go on and on and on forever. But for Jon Jones, man, I'm just disappointed in his recent arrest. And you tell me what you think. I'm going to show the video. All right. I'm going to show the video of his recent arrest. And y'all give y'all take on, do you believe that Jon Jones is going to be able to come back, to fight again, even though he's considered retired? So if by chance he doesn't have a license right now, right, and he considered himself to be retired, then I don't think it'll affect him at all. But check this out. Let me share screen right quick. And this is via this is via MMA Junkie. All right. You tell me what you think. Is there any way he can recover from this?
Sir? No, sir. Yes, sir. In my pocket, in my wallet. Yes, sir. Yeah. Why are you doing this? Yeah, you can stand up. Oh, man. This is so humiliating. I got the Hall of Fame tonight, and then you're going to put me on this by walking down the street. I'll grab it. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I knew it. Hall of Fame. You nerd. I hate you. I hate you.
He's breaking down saying he hate him.
I hate you so much. Thank you. My Hall of Fame name. What's your name? Put it on camera. Nerd. Don't touch it. Please don't hurt me. Sir. Yes, sir. You're nerd. On my Hall of Fame night. Say your name publicly. Say it. You're what? John. Officer Nerd. Heard me in my Hall of Fame night. Just because I'm big and black. And what did I do? All these officers. What did I do? Officer Garrett Nerd. You heard me. I'm my Hall of Fame night. I want you to experience this stuff.
And look how small those guys are compared to John.
I came from my Hall of Fame ceremony, and I'm black, and I have my friends, and I had did nothing to you. And I'm not. It was at a ceremony with the Hall of Fame person. I'm not gonna answer your questions no more. Oh, enemy, hurt me and kill me. What did I do? Thank you. On my house, a black man can't drink. Getting elected to the Hall of Fame, and now this is what I got. You. Relax. You're all right. Relax. Give anything in your pocket, fine. What did I do? It's okay. What did I do? The other officers, I hate you. I hate you. No, please don't. Okay, breathe, bro. Oh, please don't, guys. Guys, please don't. Hey, I didn't do nothing. I yes, sir, please. I just said John, all my friends are brothers. Chill out. Yes, sir. I don't have this in my car. No car. I am this in the car. Get you on video. No car. No car. Very stupid. Please, don't do that. Don't hurt me. You do this, sir. Yes, sir. Get your check back. Yes, sir. Give him a call. Chill out. That's you tomorrow. Look at this. Bro.
Man, I can't believe this is, oh my God. Like, I'm looking at certain situations, right, that can be a whole lot serious. And he headbutts the car, and they redirect all the focus into a skull that's already fucked up. He's already feeling some type of way from his career. He headbutts a hood of a car, and they start, oh, he broke the paint. Oh, he put a dent, and then with a person that's as dangerous and lethal as Jon Jones, you need to have a group of people around that's just being able to you know, keep it calm, you know what I'm saying? Keep order, keep it de-escalated. And, if you want to put him in the car, cool. But somebody's handcuffed, you know what I'm saying? And it's Jon Jones, whatever he did, it's his culpability, right? But what I'm saying is the man is handcuffed and he takes his head and headbutts your car. Which one of those officers were hurt? None of them. But yet they're so mad about him headbutting a car, which the dent can be taken out easily. This is when you working a certain amount of hours and you have a celebrity. You working a strip like that and you have a celebrity in your custody and you want to do too much. The officers come around there yelling and screaming, "You better calm down." It's not gonna do anything because take the handcuffs off, it's a whole nother situation. You know what I'm saying? Jon Jones is that guy. They'll probably have to put him down if it got to that. You know what I'm saying? So what's the point of doing that? The man is already fucked up for whatever reason. He was intoxicated, obviously. He was under the influence of something. It's a bad situation. This man is going in and out of emotions. He's crying, but yet he's saying he hates him. You can see this play out. He's in a very, very bad place right now. First, he feels like he's surrendering, but yet he's defiant. That's somewhat the attitude, that you get with the ebbs and flows of alcohol intoxication, or under the influence of something. Hall of Fame. He probably had a good time. I don't know if he was walking down the street, being loud and rambunctious. I don't know. I can't say. But he was handcuffed. That's not enough. You know what I'm saying? Jon Jones, in a sense, man, I can't blame his team because it's only so much they can do. I don't know what his two brothers, the conversation they've had with Jon Jones. I don't know if his brothers being competed at a high level in football. I believe both of them are champions themselves. When it comes to the NFL, it's just a whole bad situation. 360, the entire situation. It really heavies my heart for real because Jon Jones is one of the best mixed martial artists who has always been my favorite MMA practitioner. You know what I'm saying? God bless him with not only family members that was athletic, but they blessed him with the ability, bro. They blessed him with the ability. He has one of the best resumes you ever see in mixed martial arts, man. Unbelievable. And now, I think the good part of it is that he is retired. But with that retirement, will he ever make it long enough in a fight camp? Because a lot of people was telling me, right, when we was having his MMA conversations, he was that guy that can compete even when he wasn't training at his best. That's how good he is. Jon Jones was actually competing at the highest level, and he wasn't training the way he's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? That means, being dry, alcohol free, drug free, and being able to go ahead and compete. Yeah, he tested positive periodically. But what I'm saying is, even when they was paying a close attention, putting a close eye on Jon Jones, he still was winning. He still was winning. They might have been close. They might have been unanimous decisions, but he was still winning. It's a freak of nature. Unbelievable. It's crazy. What's going on, Dion, in the building? What's up, my guy? How you feeling, bro? I'm talking about Jon Jones, man. My guy, Jon Jones, one of my favorite MMA fighters in the history of the sport. He's a man of many faces right now. Those faces come with, criminal arrests, as his own doing. And unfortunately for these organizations, promotions, or whatever, they just don't have a facility. Like, it's not like he can't get help, but it's not something that fighters can just walk up to. They say, I'm feeling some type of way. I want to go out here to this retreat. I want to do a whole 30 days, you know what I'm saying, in this retreat, you know, to get my mind right. I need to speak to therapists. Just like they have UFC headquarters and centers, they should also have these facilities where these fighters can get help. That goes for boxing too. It would be great if they had facilities that can assist these fighters with their mental side, their mental blade, you know what I'm saying? Because when that mental blade starts to dull, I mean, a lot of shit starts to happen with a fighter, you know? They start acting a certain way, start getting into trouble, all of that shit. King Miss said cocaine's a hell of a drug. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Boxers don't F up this much. Nobody fucks up this much though. Kovalev did kick the shit out of that poor lady dog after punching her. Look, this is how they'll look at it, Mitch. They'll say, you can't really put a number on abuse. You can't really put a number, you know, if you take someone getting in trouble for an alcohol related incident, let's just say there was being disorderly walking down the street, right? And then you take Kovalev's situation. They will always highlight Kovalev's situation because it's dealing with a female. The main thing that highlights boxers when they get in trouble is domestic violence. Now, if you're going out here and you having car accidents and you fucking around, you got these high-end cars and you get caught racing, you get your driver license spending, people pretty much, you know, they will devalue that. They won't put too much emphasis in it. As long as you didn't hurt nobody, you didn't run nobody over and shit, they don't put too much value to it. But you fuck around and kill somebody, oh, it's over. It's done. It's a wrap. You're gonna pay, especially if you are a multi-time offender like Jon Jones. Picograms, yeah, that picograms did him in. They don't give a fuck about his head. They care more about the hood of the car. I know, man. It was like he put a dent in the car. Look, that's just individuals that's out there on shifts, and they see the riot type behavior, the elevated sense of behavior all the time. And believe me, you can get desensitized to a lot of shit, man. I've seen it. I've been there. When I was a drill instructor on Paris Island, man, it's certain things you get desensitized to. You know, that other people look at and say, "Yeah, man, come on, you're being too hard." You're like, "What? This is boot camp. This is Marine Corps boot camp." When I came through, you giving them when I came through. I mean, you get desensitized to shit, man. When you put time and time and time, years of experience in, you start to see shit that don't bother you like it did when you initially came in. Same thing with them. They see shit out there on the strip all the time. They know Jon Jones' history. The Albuquerque police that arrested him during the pandemic had a previous run-in with him. And Jon Jones, when he say he hates law enforcement, I believe he means it because he's been arrested so many times and they won't cut him no slack. Imagine if they cut Jon Jones slack, right, for fucking up and let him go home, say, "You gonna drive straight home, Jon?" "Yeah, drive straight home." You know you got a little alcohol in your system. "I'm gonna drive straight home." He drives home and kills somebody. I mean, not only is the law, the officer who let him go going to hit the wall, a lot of other people in the department is going to hit the wall too, especially if he reported. He say, "Hey, I'm just letting you know I pulled over Jones. He said he's going to go home. I let him go." And then the call come in and say, "Hey, Jon Jones been in a serious accident and there's fatalities." I mean, that's jail time, bro. Not just for Jones, but for the person who let him go too. That's their jobs. Triple G hit his head on something earlier as well. I don't know what he hit his head on. The front end of a glove. What did Triple G hit his head on? Because every time I see it, it's bouncing off the front end of a glove. Let me know in the chat there, Dion. Triple G going back and forth with Andrade. Oh, Ward on Twitter. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now he's speaking up and going to Twitter wars. Wow. I wish I was the one who created Twitter. I got Ward whooping Triple G ass at 168 without a tune-up. I don't know, man. I don't know. Ward's been out the game for quite some time. But I have to talk about that at the end of this. But for Jon Jones, I really hope somebody, I can't even say I hope, because I know they have. This man has a girlfriend. He has kids. You know what I'm saying? So I know somebody's reached out to Jon Jones. I know they've been there for him. I know they put up with enough. Because you're talking about somebody who's the top athlete in MMA. What more can you do to him in a gym setting? It's not like you're going to threaten him and fuck him up in the parking lot. It's not happening. So therefore, you have to take other precautionary actions to rid the problem, to eliminate the problem. And Jackson Wink, they pretty much banned him from coming to train at their school. That's how bad it is. So from what I understood, he was over there training with Henry Cejudo and the guys, Justin Gaethje and all them guys. I don't know, man. I just don't know if there's resources out here for these fighters. It just seems like they in the art of war, and when they go in there and compete, no one's there for when they're trying to survive outside of their competitive domain. They are here fighting, kicking and screaming, behind closed doors and shit in a dim lit room, crying for help, and they don't want to get out to the public that they're going through some shit. You know what I'm saying? I respect Stephen Fulton saying that, sometimes he be going through some shit and letting it be known. Now, of course, he's going to have some people on here that's saying, oh, well, you's the same person that got on Tyson Fury for coming back using mental illness shit. You know what I'm saying? I did. I meant it. I just felt he used it as a storyline. And then, Ryan Garcia, same thing. Ryan Garcia want to use mental illness, and everything, but yet he goes to the beaches. You know what I'm saying? He goes to the beaches and goddamn meditate in the sand when he's swimming on the waves or whatever. It's certain people that abuse mental illness, and there's certain people that actually have it. The ones that I believe who actually, at a point right now that they can't control it anymore are the ones who are acting out in public and they're getting arrested. That's just my opinion, people. I'm only speaking within the qualifications of the scope for which I went to college for, and also my experience in life. That's it. I'm not a professional. So I would suggest you don't have to believe what I say. I'm just giving you my OP. That's it, y'all. But let's hope Jon Jones gets help. I broke down the timeline for Jon Jones, and I really hope, man, he's able to come back in the heavyweight division and pick up a second weight. You know what I'm saying? Divisional championship. I really do. He's one of the best mixed martial artists out there. He's 34 years old. If he comes back, if he decides to come back, because with that habit that he has, that recreational habit, guess what? He has to pay for that shit. And he has to make a living. So when the money starts to deplete itself and the well becomes dry, you have to go back and get paid again. But the one thing for Jon Jones is he has the prestige. He has the value to his credentials to walk back, to let Dana White know he's planning a comeback. Because anytime somebody hear Jon Jones is returning to the sport, he is one of the only fighters, people, that can come back to the sport and people cheer him on. He is the absolute villain. Jon Jones is the absolute villain, y'all. When DC was able to compete without Jon Jones being in the UFC at the time. He was suspended. People were cheering DC on. But time Jon Jones came back and he was facing DC, they was actually booing DC and cheering for Jones. You know what I'm saying? He is one of the only fighters I've seen that can happen. You know what I'm saying? So, man, much prayers go out to you, Jon Jones, because you're a God-gifted talent. And you have a lot of other demons that you're dealing with right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't want to, wake up one morning to read the news that Jon Jones lost it and tried to challenge law enforcement and they end up having to kill him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they worried about him headbutting the hood. Imagine if they run into him and he don't have handcuffs and he ain't let nobody put him in cuffs. It's a whole different story now. You talking about the baddest man on the planet? Who's gonna go in there and take that first blow? Who? Who? They're gonna be looking around each other. Who? They're gonna be a bunch of American Best owls. Who? Who? Let's go on time and service. Who's been on the department longer? Man, don't be bringing that time and service. Well, who got the highest rank? Man, don't be get nobody. Man, get your ass in there. You've been on here 3 months. You go take it. Take one for the team. No, I quit. Man, it's not a laughing matter, but I'm just saying, dog. I thought Jon Jones was getting himself together to come back in here and face Francis Ngannou. That's the fight that he needs to come back to the heavyweight division if he's able to reset himself in the UFC. That would be the fight. Francis Ngannou, bro. Jon Jones faces Francis Ngannou. I remember when I used to talk and I thought, Israel Adesanya, the style bender, would move up to 205 and face Jon Jones. Jon Jones would have destroyed Adesanya. Adesanya couldn't even get past Juan Blachowicz. But anyway, prayers to you, my brother. I really hope you get it together and we can have the opportunity to see you rejoin the cage and add some additional layers to your career. And, being that you're a Hall of Famer, you've already did something that a lot of other fighters, won't be able to accomplish. But for you being in the Hall of Fame is different than most because a lot of people consider you one of the best to ever do it. One of the best mixed martial artists to ever do it. So get it together. People around him, man, get this dude some help. Get him some help. But when you that talented, that highly skilled as a combat specialist, I know the people that's running these centers, they have their, they're apprehensive in their own way because you're dealing with a guy who you can't whoop his ass. Nobody in the facility can whoop his ass, and you don't know when he's gonna have a breakdown and start losing it. So I know they be kissing his ass. They be pretty much catering to him, trying to placate the moment and soothe it and make it as peaceful and sung forward as possible. You know what I'm saying? They just say, John, we're here for you. From day 1 to day 2. We're going to get you to day 3, 4, and 5. We're going to get you through this, John. We just need your help. And when Jon Jones checked himself into that rehab before, do you know he checked himself out? He didn't even complete the whole program. Anyway, let's talk about some boxing right quick. Now, for what I'm reading in the chat, Triple G is all of a sudden putting his fingertips to work, huh? This is the same Triple G who was sitting in separate rooms for the rematch against Canelo Alvarez. This man was so butthurt and up here talking about, look, he's up here talking shit about Canelo popping from clenbuterol. look, check this out. But he wants the paycheck. Look, it's all a front. It was a facade, bro. Triple G up here. Oh, I don't want to be in the room with him. He's disgracing boxing. These two did a press week and they weren't even in the same room, right? And then look how that has carried forward. The facade that he put on, the charade, bro. You put a charade on Triple G because you went in there and with your former trainer, Abel Sanchez, you requested a first class Mexican style war. And once it was signed, sealed, and delivered, instead of you going through the front door, you was looking for the rear. You was defeated, and since then you sat around like a good boy and said, you know what? I think fight with Triple G is in trilogy is what we need. And I just want to big drummer show for Canelo Alvarez because I deserve it. So he's been sitting around. They've been catering to him. He never should have had the IBF title in his possession that he has now. And for what I hear, if Canelo is facing Dmitry Bivol, then we might see Gennady Golovkin. So look, if you are going to get that amount of money, this is where the game is to be sold, not told. Canelo is selling the game. He's collecting all the proceeds, goddammit. If you're getting this amount for Bivol and you can get this amount for damn Triple G, and both of those amounts is such a huge gap from your peers, do you supposed to say no? You supposed to go up there and take the shit. They are dumping so much money in Canelo Alvarez, man, that it's sickening. It's sickening, not in a bad way. It's sickening because really the other fighters can't even eat like Canelo's eating. And I know my boy Dion, if there's anybody that's sitting in the chat, I'm surprised he ain't put it up there yet. Because every time Canelo is a topic, Dion goddamn press send quick. Release. He said, F Canelo. He said, I got war whooping Triple G. If we get Triple G Canelo 3, boxing is officially dead. So Andrew, that fight does it for you? That fight right there does it for you to say boxing is dead? Man, boxing has been on life support, bro. Big talk there, Andrew. Boxing has been on life support, bro. Look, hearing you say that, Andrew, look, I don't have a problem with you saying it. It's just the dysfunctional relationship that we're in to support the sport. You're saying if that fight happens, boxing is dead. Do you know how many other times somebody will say boxing is dead? That shit has been resuscitated over and over again off bad fights, bro. Off robberies. Bad fights, robberies all the time, man. You know how many people was probably saying boxing is dead when Pernell Whitaker was robbed? Do you know how people looked at boxing when Medrick Taylor 2 seconds changed his whole entire life? For good? 2 seconds. All because of Richard Steele. Changed his life forever, bro. It's just been too many fights out here that we can say, man, boxing has been laid over for several times. Way back. It's been laid over. For real. The robberies don't stop. And a lot of corruption that happens in boxing, even with the ranking systems, even with certain fighters jumping the line and getting a shot before others. I totally get what you're saying, Andrew. But for me, boxing has been on life support for quite some time, bro. Real talk. You know it. Everybody in that live chat know it. It's just a dysfunctional relationship. Your girl keep abusing you, and then when she's not doing too well, she's in the hospital on life support, you say, shit, I gotta go show my girl some love. She could be tough at times, but let me just go see how she's doing. And you go there, and the doctor tell you, guess what? I got good news for you. Your girl's doing fine now. For real? You serious? You going now all happy? Oh, she look, she tell you, hey, I'm glad you came to see me. I'm glad you're here. It gave me different type of spirit. I'm glad. Thank you for showing up. I feel so much better now. And then you get back to reality. There you go again with the abuse. Boxing up here, slapping your ass in the back of the head with a mallet, kicking your ankles out, goddamn taking a bat to your kneecap, poking you in the back with sharp objects, throwing lemon juice in your eyeballs. It's doing all this torturous shit, dog. That's boxing. And you saying, God damn, dude, I put so much time and effort into boxing. Shit. And we about to get Gennady and Canelo trilogy? And these guys might, look, Gennady might get 20 mil. Look, Gennady might get 20 mil off this shit. You look, Gennady, what, didn't him and Canelo get 15, guaranteed 15 and 15 last time? If I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me in the chat. Didn't they get paid 15 million a piece? Plus, I think some back end. My God, man. That shit's crazy, bro. And Andre Ward, my brother, if you're gonna come back, please come back. Don't get older. We already done seen you on the canvas, right? You know, we know you love that undefeated record. I love the undefeated record. You know, Olympian, they got mad respect for you. But as time goes on and you stay close enough to boxing and you start engaging with these Twitter wars and all this social media, this social media type of firefights and verbal jousting on this social media, it kind of pulls you in like you didn't think could happen. Social media is a monster with several arms, man. It can grab you from so many angles. You know why? Because it's people that'll read a post, a tweet, and then they talk on it. And then other people talk on it. And then from those people, they have microcosms. And then from those, they have microcosms. And the shit continues to spring and grow and grow and grow and cultivate social media heat to the fact that Ward find himself in an all-out war in this motherfucker. I'm just curious, Ward, if you're gonna come back, my brother. Come back. We know you're the OG. Come back. And if not, just stay outside the ring. Because I don't want to see you get destroyed, bro. I don't want to see you get destroyed and lose that work, you know what I'm saying, that you worked so hard for. That stamp of approval that you left the sport when you wanted to. If you left the sport when you wanted to, don't come back unless you need to. And if you want to come back, make sure you properly prepared to go in there and prove a point. Just like when Floyd comes back, you know, he proves a point, he get it done. But don't come back if you're not physically able, bro. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it. Don't be like the other fighters that's coming back for exhibitions and coming back for this, that, and the other, because they really need money. You know what I'm saying? They really need the funds. They really need the shit. And you know, from what Triller had going on over there, you know, Triller's paying pretty well. They giving fighters incentive. If you get the win, you get this amount. If you get a knockout, you get this amount. They giving incentives for you to go over there and perform. Incentives, y'all. I heard Triple G got 100 mil from the zone. Well, pretty much when you hear those contractual agreements that finally, you know, hit the conveyor belt of media, you have to be careful about the reproduction of that narrative that goes out to social media. All right, you got to be very careful. The reason being is that 100 million is very contingent on what? The fine details that's internal to the contract. How many fighters? What is it? What's the contract details? You know what I'm saying? What is the contract? That's just like the zone. The zone came out here talking about $1 billion deal. It was 2-year contingent over and over again on how the zone, what's the numbers, what's the growth, what's the margin, and all that shit. But the way social media took it is that Eddie Hearn did it. Eddie Hearn's get a $1 billion. No, that wasn't it. What about Canelo Alvarez when he signed on for that $365 million for 11 fights? Man, come on, bro. That's a lot of fucking money, but 11 fights is a lot of fights. So look at 365 mil for 11 fights. When he's about to go here and have 4 fights, well, he's gonna make well over over 150, possibly 150 million. This dude is fucking paid, dog. And you know what? Nobody really knows how Canelo became the next great, except his, kept building himself off his performances. Like the turning point. A lot of people say the turning point was his loss against Floyd. I would have rather his turning point be with a good fighter, his equal or greater. And I think people start really looking at that when it came down to could we see Erislandy Lara? Erislandy Lara, people don't talk about him like that. I mean, people was really hyping up and talking about him in Triple G. That's the only thing I can say. That them 2 fights, that 2 fights, man. If the first one was a draw and the second one Canelo, yeah, it will warrant a trilogy. But a trilogy that makes sense to the point where is Gennady still competitive enough? Is he more competitive than the performance that he put on when he was with Abel Sanchez in the rematch? I don't know, bro, because his last couple of fights, he hasn't looked spectacular. That's all I'm saying. Miss say, I doubt Ward coming back. It's not the actual fight I'm worried about. It's the grueling training camp. Yeah, man, for sure. That training camp is not easy. Man, Ward been enjoying that luxury living. I know where those guys eat at. I've been back there. I reconned and been back there. And I was like, damn, this some of the best free food I've had. And some haters in there. I had someone say, are you with the promotion? I say, I have credentials. Oh, I was just asking. But I wasn't supposed to be over there, but I did enjoy the food. Thank you very much. And hey, Andre Ward is enjoying that good life, that good cooking. To put that all away and get back in the gym, blood, sweat, and tears. Hey, I don't know if it's that easy. That was back when Eddie was being super reckless with the money. Well, first of all, Eddie, yeah, he had to be kind of reckless because you think about it, it's a billionaire that's over the zone, right? So he kind of was like, and still is sort of, they have the financial backing, but he's trying to entice fighters with these dollar amounts. You know what I'm saying? Because the zone is still like, the house down the street. They're putting on some good shows, but they still, when people say promotions, they still mention PBC and Top Rank first. And if they had a hangover and they feeling some type of way, you hear them say, "Is Golden Boy still there? Golden Boy? They got Oscar, yeah, Oscar. They still, you know what I'm saying? That's the only time they ask about Golden Boy when they leaving the club or something or happy hour. They might bring up Oscar name. That's it. But the zone is making its way to the forefront. I'm telling you, it's making its way to the forefront. And like you said, the person who just said, Andrew said, reckless with money. He's somewhat doing the same thing that Al Heyman is accused of. When they collected, or they gathered all that monetary funding from the hedge fund, right? And he was paying his fighters pretty hefty. But the point we're at right now is that it's a lot of fighters is over there that had deferred payments. Okay, so they deferred payments. They would get upfront money. I mentioned this a while ago, and nobody believed what I was saying. They just don't want to listen, man. I was saying that these fighters were getting their guarantee money, and they was getting deferred payments. They was getting paid up the line, depending on what the PPV numbers and everything do. They just weren't getting all their money up front. That wasn't happening, and now it's coming to light. You just seen the article that come out on Spence. Spence getting a guaranteed 1.5, and that can increase about up to 5 million. Isn't that less than what Terrence Crawford's guarantee was at Top Rank? Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Wasn't that what the article say? Spence is getting a guaranteed 1.5, and the rest is going to be dependent on the PPV numbers. So with the PPV numbers, he can make less than 5 million total. That ain't good money. Who was out here hyping up Spence that he was getting all this damn pay? That's low compared to man, that's super duper low. When you compare that to Canelo, none of these cats down here can say they balling. They the cash cow. You know what I'm saying? They the big fish. None of them. Because if you ain't making that 40 to 50 million big fish money, all you doing is just getting paid like everybody else, man. Even though it's good money. I mean, it's not nothing serious, bro. Seriously, it's not. Darren Chingo took it all of Triple G. I agree, bro. I agree. Dion said, I've been told y'all Canelo ain't shit. Canelo making all that money right now. And my question, Dion, you're a person that's in the community and, doing all, different type of events and stuff. How can we come up with some type of reasoning as to why Canelo Alvarez is the only one getting all this money? Why can't it be 3, 4, 5 fighters that's getting paid close to what he's getting paid, all in the sport of boxing? You have one fighter that's going around here jumping in and out of Brinks trucks, don't have to show ID or nothing. He's just going there getting his pay and he's leaving. It's not even a robbery anymore. It's not a robbery when they're giving you the money. It's not a robbery. They're giving this nigga the money. Giving it to him, dog. Here. Muchas gracias, amigo. Sí. Go. Enjoy. Muchas gracias. De nada. It's amazing, man. Canelo turning point was him landing on PPV undercards and being built by Floyd Mayweather. Got to give Golden Girl a lot of credit as well. Canelo did his part too, though. He ain't lost sense. I was more so talking about, the fight that people remember him for that was turning point outside of the loss to Floyd Mayweather. Like whenever his conversation starts to, float with the ripples of the social media current, it just seems like they always talk about his turning point was Floyd in a loss. Somebody tell me, what do you think his turning point was in a win? What win was it? Not who he fought up under, what promotion or anything like that. What is a win on his record that you look at and say, that was a turning point for Canelo Alvarez? You start to look at him a little different. You start to see him a bit different as a rising star in the sport. Which fight was that? Anybody? Better hurry up. Anybody? Because the brother's about to, pop the hatch. What was a fight in Canelo's career? Y'all have access to Boxborough. Let me know. What do you think that was his turning point fight? I'm curious. I'm very curious, man. Because all I hear is Floyd. Floyd. What was Canelo Alvarez turning point? Judging by the way Canelo, let me see, Canelo turning point. Okay. I'm judging by the way Canelo screamed. I say it was decision over Triple G. That was the biggest turning point. Which fight? Yeah. You're talking about the rematch. Okay. Got you. I got you. And that's the only fight I can take. That's the one I can take. I think, when he won like that, man, a lot of people looked at that fight like, damn, that was a good little rivalry. And I think somebody on here last time said it would have been good if they had the trilogy, several months after the rematch, so it can be fresh in our minds. You know what I'm saying? So we can still be out here chit-chatting about it. It would have been good if the fight, the trilogy would have taken place like that, but it didn't. But somehow, some way, man, behind the scenes, the power that be, they coddled Triple G. They blessed him with a robbery. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people thought he lost that fight against Dariunchenko. But he's been able to sit over there and do just about nothing, just like Yoda Murata. They're neighbors. They're next door neighbors. They're sitting over there chilling, rocking in the rocking chair. You got some of that apple cider? No, I got some of this moonshine though. It's fresh off the steel. It'll change your life. You want some? I give you half a cup. Half a cup? I was just thinking of a shot. Down here, we drink half a cup of nothing. We've been running these steels back in the 60s. Goddamn Triple G, him and Yoda Murata been there chilling. While look, they're in the middle sitting cozy while you got the two brothers on the outskirts. Demetrius Andrade and Jamal Charlo, who don't even want to come close to each other like they got the cooties. They don't even want to come close to each other, bro. They don't even want to come close and say, hey, man, I got to get paid. Man, let's go ahead and fight. But yet, he's not getting the attention that he needs. We going back and forth playing social media tennis. Once it's Canelo's going to fight Jamal Charlo. No, he's not. He's going to fight him, and it's not. He's going to fight him, but Jamal get arrested. Who fucking cares, bro? That shouldn't determine the fight. Just because somebody got arrested, if it weren't for murder, anything serious, why should that stop a fight? Gervonta Davis was accused of a hit and run, and what people was injured, and he left the scene. He still went and fought. So definitely Canelo. Come on now, let's not be all political. This fight can happen. We need the fight to happen. We need either him stepping up to 68 to face one of the big dogs. But it seems like when people don't get Canelo, they just get all mad. They just get all down and out, depressed. You know what I'm saying? No, find another fighter. Find Benavidez. Find somebody. Find Andrade. Shit. I mean, they just look at it like this, Andrew, that was the turning point in his career when he lost to Floyd Mayweather. I just wanted to know what was, him making all this money. What was the turning point in his career for him just to start just bringing in bundles of freaking monetary bundles. The dude can't be stopped. For real. It don't seem like he can be stopped. But anyway, man, hey, I'm gonna get up out of here. You do have fights coming up this week. We have Chris Colbert. Chris Colbert is fighting. Let's see how that plays out. I'm not wishing no ill will against Chris Colbert. Shout out to the crew down here in the ATL. They got a big fight card coming. If I miss anybody, my apologies. But you have, Maybach Hot. And if you don't know Maybach Hot, man, he's sitting at 8-1 right now, but goddamn it, can he promote himself? He knows a lot of people down here in this city. Boxing got it twisted. I'll tell you, that dude need to go in there helping fighters promote themselves. And he'll be a rich man. Got Maybach Hot, Albert Bell, Mo Williams. Who else on that card? I think Tito on that card too. Tito Lopez. I think he's on that card also. It's a pretty decent card. It's a pretty high card, man. For real, it's a pretty high card. But yeah, it's gonna be down here in Atlanta. I still want to give a big shout out to Team Jihad, man, for inviting me and your with hospitality, man, being able to, cover y'all for the short time y'all was down here for sparring, being able to see the sparring with myself. So I tell people all the time, you can speak about sparring differently than those who heard about it. Remember that shit. I will always be able to speak on certain sparring because I've seen it firsthand, other than third and fourth party events, that how it went down. You know what I'm saying? People lie so much. But be sure to follow them, man. Be sure to follow Team Jihad Tucker on IG. Support him because he's a dog, man. He's a different type of cat, dog. For real. His pops is too. They different people over there. His whole family and how they train. He got a little brother that's 12 years old. And I'm telling you, if you haven't heard it from Showtime News, but he has a little brother they call $1 Million Marley. Dude is a complete situation when it comes to boxing. That situation you walk up on and you say, damn, okay, I need about 20 ways on how to beat this dude, because the regular one, it ain't gonna work. This little kid knows how to box, man. And he has a killer instinct already. That's 2 fighters in that boxing family. That's 2 fighters. And somehow, some way, their pops have found out the dynamic on how to train them and get them to where they at. I mean, I'm not dogging out the sparring partner his 12-year-old brother had, but he gave that kid the business. And they the same age. I think the other kid might have been older. He's on a whole nother level. The 12-year-olds on Marley was on a whole nother level, bro. And then the sparring session with Brian Norman. This is what I respect about both of their teams. Is when I asked, did they mind pictures? They said no. And Brian Norman Sr. said, man, you can take a picture, record. I don't give a fuck. You know why he don't give a fuck? Because he have all the confidence in the world in Brian Norman. That's the difference between the real ones and the one that pretends to be real. If you don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying? If you don't want to give a fuck, he said, I don't care if you take a picture. I don't care if you record any of that shit. Because he already know what type of son he has, what type of fighters he had. The same way with Jihad Tucker did. They didn't care. They didn't care, bro. I'm just curious to why other fighters don't want to allow that shit to happen. You got to be something special. You got to have a connect. You got to do this, and this in order to get some big names to spar. I think sparring is damn good. I think it's healthy for the fighter if they're not getting blasted. I'm talking about the top level fighters. That's a big deal, right? I think it's good for them to put their sparring out every now and then. Because I tell you, if the sparring would have got out with Brian Norman and Gervonta Davis, I think it would have made some very significant changes. But from what I know about all the talk he received and all the praise and adulations that Brian Norman was receiving, it kind of hurt him in a way, because Gervonta is already up there and Brian Norman is not there yet. So people want to try to allegedly say some things or try to blackball a man from having a fight on TV. And that was fucked up. All because he was damn making rounds on YouTube and certain people didn't like it. But if they would have put the sparring session out there, it wouldn't have been no, oh, he been talking too much. He's been doing, no. It wouldn't have been that. Because that shit, I guarantee you, they would have put that sparring session that was off the clock from the opening bell. Two times. They went like 3 or 4 rounds, the first one, off the bell, off the clock. And then the second was just straight up off the clock from the jump. Off the jump. That shit would have been like 15 million, 20 views already. Because it was chaos. It was motherfucking shit that you look at and you say, damn, man, who allowed them to record this? I'm serious. Who allowed this to be recorded? It was damn good. Jahal Tucker and Brian Norman shit was damn good, man. When I know certain fighters, elite fighters are sparring, I can vouch for them after seeing them if I've ever seen them spar before. You know what I'm saying? Like Albert Bell, for instance. Albert Bell is a motherfucking problem, dog. This dude did something I ain't never seen before in sparring. He sparred this guy who I'm gonna keep his name confidential. He sparred him, I think, 8 rounds. I swear to God, he gave him a totally different look every round. Every round. Every round, he gave him a different look. The entire round. And you trying to say, you say to yourself, what? And then some of the shit Jahai does, you can't teach that shit. He's able to get away with stuff that he's gifted with innately. You know what I'm saying? He's able to bend over at the waist sometime and fight short and land punches that way. Not every fighter can do that. But anyway, the sparring session was great, man. Shout out to Team Brian Norman Jr., Team Jahal Tucker, man. Shout out to Showtime News for being the plug, for setting that shit up. You know what I'm saying? And continue to, reach out and support the channel. People making calls behind the scenes, man. That's what it's about right now. That's what I'm focused on. So I appreciate y'all that pulled up to the channel, man. Check out I still have some editing to do. I have some videos that I need to release. I'm not gonna lie. I just got so much to do. I did put some pictures out there of their first sparring session, but I have to edit these pictures and repost them. You know what I'm saying? I just can't put them out there raw because the gym, the lighting was different. It was dark in certain spots and it was light in the others. I see Andrew Charles, comment on some of my pictures. I appreciate you support, man, that you tuning in over there. I see him checking out some of the pictures. But yeah, you know what it is, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up as always. Thank you. Big salute. Y'all continue to rock with the WCS media. Until next time, turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. I'm out.